All right, welcome in everybody. It is Thursday morning. It's abnormal. Usually we're doing Wednesday night. I'm in the studio. We were just talking about it, but no, we're in a hotel room in a tornado watch in Columbia, South Carolina. But that doesn't matter. We got to keep the stories going, and we're gonna hit the gymnastics world today, and we're gonna talk to a superstar freshman. I originally reached out to her. I said, let's wait till after the season so we got something to talk about, and I'm glad we did because she had a fantastic season. So with that being said, Jamison Sears, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am glad that I waited. I watched you all season, got to see you in person three different times. Absolutely worth it. But before we get into your freshman season, get into to everything that was, we're gonna break the ice a little bit. And I was just talking about the weather, and I wanted to ask you something. In gymnastics, you don't have to worry about weather delays. But last night I watched the SEC softball tournament. Those girls were still playing after midnight because they had two games that went to 14 innings, which is something that wouldn't happen to y'all as well. And then this morning, they're in a weather delay. Just how grateful are you that you don't have the possibility of having a gymnastics meet after midnight?
It's good. We actually talk about that all the time. Like if we were an outside sport, what would we do? Because like we see football practicing outside when it's 100 degrees, and I'm just like, there's no way I'd be able to do anything on any event in that kind of weather. So I'm very grateful that that does not happen to us.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I said I wasn't going to jump ahead, but the one gymnastics meet I went to this year that there was a terrible start time was Alabama at LSU. I still need an explanation on why 5 o'clock. It just everything about it felt wrong. I mean, when I was going to park, there were still students leaving classes that Friday. Like it just that's the only time I've ever seen a meet that wasn't at least at minimal 6:30 start time.
Yeah. So again, it was my first year, so it was a little different no matter what because I'm used to competing at random times. But everyone was always like, "Yeah, it's like a little past 6:30 and on is when we compete on Fridays," and that's just not what happened. And I was like, "Guys, I'm still like waking up. Like I'm not ready to start yet." It was just kind of weird,
Yeah,
but
no doubt. I
it
mean,
is
like I
what it
said, if I can't even find parking because the students are still because the parking lot you park to go to the gymnastics meet is the same ones that they park to go to classes. So yeah, it was an odd thing, but bringing it back around to icebreakers, we always like to know music, right? What athletes are vibing with. If you could go see any musician anywhere in the country or world, whatever, who would you go
is.
see? Where would you go see them?
Oh boy. Um, I'd probably go see Little Baby in Atlanta. Yeah, Little Baby in Atlanta.
Solid choice. And I'm glad though you knew where. Sometimes they know the artist, they don't know where. You already knew where. So I'm gonna stick to that same topic. If you can go see an athlete or team anywhere, who would you go see? Where would you go see them? I'm talking about seeing anybody you want.
Oh, oh, that's hard. Um, I've always wanted to go to an NFL game, so I'm a Cowboys fan. Sorry, everybody. I'd probably go see the Cowboys in Dallas.
Yeah, that
That
is
sounds
an
cool.
unfortunate answer right there. And that's back-to-back guests. I don't know what y'all are doing to me. I gotta have to do a better screening process. But no, going down to Dallas and checking out their stadium is definitely I've been as a non-Dallas fan and it was still awesome. So I definitely recommend it. So let's get into your story. For those who don't know, where are you from?
I am from Yorktown, Virginia.
All right, so we always ask this question. If we were to go to your hometown, what's the one thing we must do, or is there like a place we must eat? Like if we're coming to visit, what is it we're gonna look for?
Oh boy. So where I live, it's like Jamestown. Like what you guys like read in the history books, that's like where I live. So it's kind of boring to me as like a teenage girl. It's kind of boring. But a lot of people do like to tour around here. I don't personally, so I moved away. But I would probably say go up by Colonial Williamsburg and go to another Broken Egg. There's one probably everywhere, but that's just my favorite place to go. So that's where I would go.
Yeah, no, I mean there's one in Memphis, there's phenomenal. There's one I eat in Baton Rouge, it's phenomenal. So I'm with you on that. And then as far as landmark items, where you're from, I'm from Memphis, and there was actually a study done because I've never been to Graceland. They polled, and almost 70% of people who are actually from Memphis have never been to Graceland. I think when you're from somewhere, it's not the same. Like
Yeah.
people tour stuff, but like I don't know, you pass it, you see it. I don't know, maybe it's just not a big deal. And it's the same thing for you, right? You're from there. You have no desire to like tour around and see it. It's part of where you're from.
Exactly. That's how I feel about like every time my grandparents come here, they're like, "Oh, we want to go to Washington D.C." I'm like, "We went last year. We literally went a year ago." But
Still
so
the
what
same.
they want to do.
All right, so talk to me. You just mentioned family. What we got? We got a big family. We got brothers and sisters. What are we growing up with?
Oh yeah, I have a ginormous family. I have 8 other siblings, and then on top of those 8, I have 2 stepsisters. They're much older
Wow,
than I am.
that is a lot going on. Where do you fall in all this? Are you towards the top, the middle, the bottom?
Definitely towards the bottom. I'm third from the youngest.
So would you say, being someone who's as athletic as you are, did you have any of those siblings that, inspired you, whether they were motivating you or maybe they were great athletes and you wanted to be like them? Was any of them, an inspiration to you growing up to be a better athlete?
My older sister did gymnastics, and that's kind of how my gymnastics career started. A lot like all my siblings did a sport, but none of them really did gymnastics other than my older sister. And they were just always so supportive and just wanted to see me do my best. So that was definitely very helpful in getting to where I am today.
Absolutely. So, what I've learned more and more with every gymnast we talk to outside, I can't remember who it was. There was somebody who was an exception that started at 9, but just about every other gymnast started as soon as they could walk. So for you, when did you get into gymnastics?
I started at like 18 months old.
So basically, as soon as you could walk, same
Yeah.
story. So, the question always becomes, it's a thing your parents put you into, you do and everything. But at what point does it become like serious to a sense of, the other thing I've learned is it becomes a way of life, right? In order to be the level gymnast you are, it takes up the majority of your day when you're training everything. So at what point do you turn the corner and say, like, gymnastics is completely what I want to do?
Um, so for me, that decision came in 6th grade when I decided to start doing homeschool instead of going to public school so that I could train at the gym for 8 hours a day. That's kind of when I made that decision, of course, the help of my coaches and my family. But yeah, at about how old are you in 6th grade? Like 12? I don't know. When I was like 12, I made that decision, I guess.
Yeah, no, very rarely do you get to have a normal school life. Like you said, the amount of hours of training, I don't think people just realize and understand how many hours that y'all put in, not just in college in general, but to get there. I learned in the early stages about the different levels, and it was Kaya Johnson was the first one explaining to me, getting to level 10 and everything. So, yeah, just the amount of training, it's hard to have a normal school routine. Most do homeschool. So for you, let me ask on a homeschool note, you know, were you able to have much of a life outside of training? Because you're not getting to have the, normal kids school life where you're friends with them, you're doing the extracurriculars. How was it like growing up? Were you just hanging out with the girls you were competing with? How'd that go?
So, as many of us saw this year, I am very social person. My best friend who did gymnastics, she was still in public school while I was still homeschooled. So I would have like her friends, I would hang out with them because we got done at like 4 p.m. every day. So I still had most of the day. And with all my siblings still being in school, I would still go to like basketball games and football games and all the little things. So I would still see everybody. I just wouldn't go to class with them on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, no doubt. And I guess that makes sense. So, all right, you're competing at a high level, you're at that high school age, where are you competing? So being from Virginia, it's a new area for us. A lot of the girls we've talked to, it's been the South or the Midwest. So like, are you traveling events up and down the East Coast? Where are you going to do these events for gymnastics?
Um, we kind of bounced all over the place. So at my gym, we had a couple elites. So we would try to go to meets that like elites could also go to. So we weren't so split up because some of us were doing 10 and elite. So it'd just be easier. So we would go along the East Coast or just like randomly go out west. It was just very random, never planned. She was just like, we're going to this meet. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So
All
yeah.
right. So the big question always becomes then, right? This is the question everybody wants to know. You know, you being the level you are, can go probably to any school you want. What was it about Alabama that made that to be where you wanted to go?
It's so cheesy because I feel like everyone says it, but the moment I stepped on campus, I felt like it was home. I just felt so comfortable with the girls. They're a big part, you're with them for a year to the next 4 years that you're there. But they just were so welcoming, and I felt like I've known them my entire life. I Makari, who was a super senior this year, I met her in 2019 at the Nasia Cup the year she won. And the whole time, I just looked up to her as if she was an older sister to me. And after that meet, I went home and I told my mom that I wanted nothing more than to compete with her for a national championship trophy. But unfortunately, Kari was a senior. Um, she was a senior like my senior year of high school, but she took a fifth year, so I did get to compete with her. But we didn't win, but it was amazing regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get into that. And everything that I've seen and heard, Alabama, absolutely amazing. Obviously we've interviewed Louisa and Ella, and I've just watched that program for the last 4 years. And so definitely could see why. And then, the cliche answer you gave, it's the truth of the matter though. If you don't feel like it's gonna feel like home when you go there, it's not somewhere you want to be, because I mean that's the whole idea. You're leaving home and you want to go somewhere where you feel comfortable. And when you get there, if the place just doesn't feel right or the girls around you don't feel right, then it can't be the one. So yeah, you say it, and it's the typical answer, but it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. It doesn't matter if we're talking male or female. It's still the same thing. They always want to feel like they're comfortable there. But you get there, and I mean, right out the gate, it was watching the start of the season, and you're going to Vegas. You're in Super 16. I mean, let's waste no time. We're gonna go against the best of the best out the gate, which that's what I love. Like, let's waste no time and find out who's ready for this season, because y'all have the some of the best, the majority of the best teams out there on the biggest stage, and somewhere like Vegas, just how, I don't know, was it more scary? Was it more exciting? What was it like for you?
It was a little bit of everything. I was definitely very nervous because I was leading off, and I was like, please don't mess up, please don't mess up. But it was really just super exciting to just finally get out there and compete. I've been waiting since 2021, since the day I committed to compete for them. So I finished my vault. I ran down and I literally started sobbing. And I was like, guys, I just competed in the NCAA. Like it was so surreal. It was absolutely amazing.
So you talk about leading off. Is it one of those things that you wanted to do or you were asked to do? Because, some girls want that, that opportunity, right? They feel good about going out there and setting the tone for a team. And then some, it's coaches are asking you to hold that spot. So for you, what was it?
I actually didn't think I was going to lead off. I thought it was kind of like you'll be in vault lineup somewhere along the way. And when I let off in Vegas, I was just like, is this an all season thing? Or are we just kind of trying it out? And it lasted pretty much all season. So it was pretty cool to lead off vault my freshman year. It was move. It was very special to me to be able to lead off my freshman year.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. That's obviously we're talking about vault, but you get to, join the floor lineup against Arkansas. You make your debut there. Just, how good did it feel to get out there and do that first floor routine?
That so floor is my favorite event. If anybody has ever watched me compete, you know that I'm just moving the whole time. But to be able to just I was super excited about my floor routine, and I know my teammates were also excited. So to be able to do that like in Coleman for the first time was it was just amazing. I think I blacked out in my routine because I don't remember it, but I remember just being like so excited and like crying. I was like, guys, I did it. I did it. I did my floor routine. And they were like, yeah, Jameson, like that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know. But it was super cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite part of gymnastics is actually watching your teammates all do the routine. It absolutely amazes me how the girls on the team can know like everyone's routine and do it on the side. So when you're at a home meet and you're just feeling the energy of the crowd as it is, and then you're seeing all the girls, the camaraderie of gymnastics is just second to none. The way that y'all are just, family out there, and they're just as excited. You're talking about, you're being out there excited. They're just as excited for you. So it's really cool to see. So, we were talking about when you came to LSU, I got to see, we talked about the unfortunate, setup with starting at 5 o'clock, but it didn't stop you from going out there. You had a podium finish on the vault. You actually were right in front of us. I was sitting with Kaya's parents, but you absolutely fly. Okay. Like when you got like I was like, my goodness, um just I like so many questions about it, but like, you talk about the training and everything, how when you have the ability to fly like you do, like how do you go about deciding which moves you're going to do? Because, I hear the commentators talk about it all the time, what, depending on, obviously height, build, your ability to get in the air, depends what move you can do. But when you can get that high, I mean, can you basically try to at least, learn and do basically any move?
Um, I feel like yes and no. So for me, okay, let me think about this. So I am a very powerful athlete. But when it comes to like learning new things, it takes me a long time because I have like no air coordination at all, no air awareness at all. So it's very hard for me to learn new skills. For some people, it might be easier.
Mhm.
But when it comes to like deciding, it's just kind of like what I'm confident in and what looks the best, I guess, is what we we decided for my vault this year.
I got you. Yeah. Now, it was one of those things that I've always wondered, and I've actually never asked how you decide. And it made me want to ask you, though, just like I said, because you're such a high flyer. You and Amari Drayton from LSU both, and it's crazy because y'all are built differently, but y'all both get
I love it.
so high, and y'all do it on your floor routine as well. And so it's something that I can appreciate for sure. So you set your new career best on floor. Oklahoma and competed on the vault as well. Oklahoma, uh, they obviously will get to regionals, or I mean to national championship here shortly. But when you got to compete against them multiple times, just how good were they? Because it's one of those things that I felt like when I watched on TV, like I didn't know if they'd be able to be beat because they just seemed like this well-oiled machine where they never messed up. Did it feel like that when you were competing against them?
Um, so they're an amazing team, and they've been doing well the past couple of years. But I when so for us when we went against OU, of course everyone counted us out. But I think we just kind of went into it with like they're human and they can make mistakes. Like yes, they have hit these whatever scores that they've been hitting all year, but like they're just people too. So like we kind of went into it like anything's possible and just like focused on us, stayed in our little Bama bubble. And I think it was on beam. I want to say it was beam or bars. It was bars. I looked over, I think we were on ball, and I saw a fall. And I was like, guys, come on, like, oh, you just fell. Anything's possible. Let's go. Let's go. And we just stayed consistent, and then we were on floor, and we were just having like a fun time on floor because it's a party, it's a dance party, like I say. And then they were on beam and they had another fall, and I was like, guys, we just witnessed OU fall twice in the same meet. Like this is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Like we got to take advantage of this. We were the only team this year to put up that score against OU, and I feel like it kind of gave us like a little bit of adrenaline rush because everyone was kind of like counting like yes we did still lose but like they really counted us out like they're like Alabama OU like that's not even a meet like OU's going to crush them like whatever but like we were the only team all season to put that big score up against them and I feel like it was just something we really needed and it was just kind of cool because I know since I've been watching OU they've been national championships back to back, um, all the amazing things that they've done, and to be able to not saying anything bad about them, but just to be able to like see that they are human too was kind of cool. And yeah, it was kind of cool to see that they were also human and not
Yeah,
robots.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. It was a very interesting dynamic in, the Elite Eight. I watched a group of Utah fans, and I would never do it like that. It's something that I would keep internally, because I don't ever want to root for someone's failures. But Oklahoma, you talked about being human. They had three consecutive girls fall on vault, which was just unreal, including Jordan Bowers. And I was standing behind the group of Utah fans, and they were like just celebrating. And I was like, it was so rude, but I got why they were doing that, right? Because it was the very thing that you were talking about. Everybody makes it, no one's going to have a chance against beating them. And so Utah fans are seeing the door open, wide open right there, saying, hey, you like they're falling. We got a chance. So, but before we get into Fort Worth, I wanted to talk about the SEC championships. I was there in New Orleans, just a very cool scene. To me, it wasn't Fort Worth, but when you have all the SEC teams there, I don't know, it was very cool because I've been to so many LSU meets just watching one on one, and so to see all the best gymnasts from the SEC in one place, and I'm sure a majority of them in some way or the other. So just how much fun was it in New Orleans to be able to compete with all the other girls from the SEC and just, be able to enjoy gymnastics at its best?
That was such a surreal experience. I think it was training day for SECs. We were all like in the cold tubs and the hot tubs after practice. And I'm just seeing like I'm gonna sound like a fan. I was just like staring. I was like, I don't think you guys know, but I literally watched her before I even got to college. Like I watched her growing up. Like that was kind of cool. And I love KJ Johnson. She's just she when I first saw her, I was like, she scares me. Like she just has like this intimidating personality. But like within 5 minutes, I we had a conversation and she's just like the sweetest little thing. But it was just so cool, like seeing everybody that like I watched growing up, like in the same spot, getting ready to compete against them. And it was just amazing. I don't know. It was just such a surreal experience. It was my first year, and just being able to experience that was so cool.
Yeah, no, we actually exposed KJ on this show. So we were talking to her, and then she unclipped her nose ring and said it's not even real. I was like, oh, you're not even as tough as you made it seem to be. But no, she's always we see her after the meets, and she talks. My son's a big fan of hers, and yeah, she's so sweet. But I see what you're talking about, from the very beginning, just on the floor. She comes off as such a baddie, but like I was the same way as you though, just looking around, like it's, starting with your team. I have been a massive fan of Louisa because the main host of my show, Daniel, that's his favorite gymnast. And so that, and then, you see, girls from Florida and Arkansas, and just, it's everywhere. And it's really cool to see all that talent. And that kind of set the stage for when I would go to Fort Worth. When you get there, I talked about the nerves in the Super 16. When you get there, and you're looking, and this is a chance to go to the Final Four, to go to the national championship. Were there any nerves in, or was it excitement? Where are you feeling at that moment? Because I'm not gonna lie, y'all came out. I thought, especially the bar routine. I believe that's where y'all started.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it. And I thought Alabama's fixing to win this thing. So it looked like y'all were absolutely ready to go. Am I right about that?
I mean, I thought like after that bar audition, I was like, this is it. This is ours. Like, we got this. Like, we're gonna show everybody what Bama's about. Um, I think what had happened was that bars was so good, and we kind of got in our heads a little bit like we got to make everything after this perfect or it's not happening. And unfortunately, we did have a fallen beam, and then the next person went up, and I think it was just like a well, we blew it. Like I feel like so being up in the stands, I don't know if you guys can see it as well, but like in the corral, you can just kind of feel the energy just kind of like fall.
So
Like
I'm gonna tell
everybody
you,
falls.
I was on the front row recording it. I have some clips that still make me kind of sick on how I felt because I still frame sent a clip of Ella and Louisa to Daniel. When you can see the look on their face when they come off, and then they turn around and smile, right? Because that's what y'all have to do and jump back on the beam. But especially Louisa, who came after because she knows that she can't afford that fall, and she does that triple back, and she comes off and she just turns and looks, and she's not looking at me, but it looks like it, and she just have this look of disgust, like she's so upset at herself for that mistake, and you feel so bad, like you said, and I could tell exactly what you were talking about because after the first fall, every girl just seemed like all the pressure was on them. And that's the one bad thing about gymnastics, because it happened, like we said, with Oklahoma on vault, and then it happens with y'all on beam. You have one really bad event. It doesn't matter if you kill the other three, because as long as the other team doesn't have any massive mistakes, they're going to move on. And that's what happened. It's not that, like Florida necessarily killed it, but they just didn't have a beam like y'all or Oklahoma's, vault. And so it's like you said, it's unfortunate, but I still thought outside of beam, especially you on vault and with all y'all on floor, I thought you are absolutely exceptional. And I love that's what I told Louisa afterward. When her and Ella went to floor after falling on beam, to see them go out there and nail those routines, that's what it's all about, right? Because that's adversity at its finest. You could, check out, right? Like, I mean, you just messed up, unfortunately, on the biggest stage. Mentally, you could check out, but they went out there and they absolutely nailed it and finished strong. And so it made me really proud for your team.
Yeah. Um, After Beam, we kind of like we didn't count it out, but like we kind of knew that it was like kind of over at that point. And we went to floor. I wasn't competing floor, but I still warmed up floor. And we before each event we do our little huddle, and they were just like, of course, like anything's possible. We watched OU fall 3 times. We just fell 4 times. They still have to finish their events. Like they can still fall. Like don't just give up because of beam. Like we just like it made it as if it didn't happen, and it was really cool to be able to like stand there, knowing how hard it was to watch them just like go out there and still kill floor, and we still killed vault. But yeah, that just shows how amazing they are, because I know personally for me, if I had to go up, I probably would have been crying. I would have been an absolute mess. But they just had so much adversity and so much leadership and stuff like that. And it was just really amazing to see them still persevere after something as
Yeah,
bad
absolutely.
as being.
And it's why the beam, obviously, like you said, it's not your event, but so I cover baseball and gymnastics the most out of all sports we do in Alta Bench. And baseball players say there's nothing harder to do than hit a baseball. And so I don't know if you saw the video. Alana and Kaya videoed me getting up on and beam and just walking across it, simply walking across it. And I did it, and it was so hard to get up there. I refused to have any help. Got up there on my own and then walked across it, and I'm not doing anything on it. I'm just walking across it. And I was like, I don't think people realize just how small this beam really is and just how difficult it would be to do flips and tricks and land on this thing. And I said, I don't want to hear it from the baseball guys anymore. The hardest thing to do in sports is this beam. And I look back at that video even of Luisa, right? She's coming back on the first two rotations backwards, perfect. And on the third one, she just slightly comes off to the left, and it's enough for her foot to slide off. Like there's no margin for error. So to me personally, I feel like the beam is like the hardest thing in sports.
That is the hardest and scariest event. Nobody can ever change my mind, ever.
And that's why you're like, I will do vault and floor, and I will stay away from
And
there.
I'll stay there and I'll be happy with those two, because beam is
Absolutely. So I do have a question. I almost forgot to ask it. I was just thinking about it because I was thinking about how good all the Leos looked. in Fort Worth. I was one of those people that never really, it was about the gymnastics. And then I started getting on all these gymnastics forums and I started talking about, the good looking and the bad looking Leos. I meant to ask it in the LSU meet. I feel like y'all might have had the best ones I've ever seen. The way that red was and the shimmer came off, like I don't know. Do you remember which ones I'm talking about? Like
I do remember that Leo. I don't know what that Leo was called. I want to say
because
it's
look, me and my buddy Sean were like, after y'all had lost, we're like, they may have lost, they look better than us though. Like, and it was weird because you had two guys talking about something, and that's not necessarily a thing, but like they just looked so good.
yeah. I love pretty much I think every Leo we competed in this year I love. None of them fit me, but I loved all of them. LSU and SECs were probably my favorite Leos that we wore this year.
No doubt. So, finishing it up, and then we'll get to the game. It's just your freshman year, just getting started. Sky's the limit. You've been on the biggest stage now, seen what it takes. You've been able to learn from the upperclassmen. You talked about even super seniors that you didn't know were going to be there. So like it feels like while it's bittersweet, this is something that you're going to get to do for a long time, and you got some amazing experience out the gate. So just how excited are you just to get to next season? And with that, what does the training regimen kind of look like right now during the off season?
I'm really just excited to get going again. Going home, what day did we leave? Like April 18th was pretty sad, but I was like, all right, we'll take a small break, everybody, and I'll see you on Monday for practice because we're getting started. But yeah, right now it's kind of just like everyone's getting like so we're I think everyone's home now. I think everyone's gone home by now. I'm pretty sure. I don't really know. But right now we're kind of just training on our own, just keeping our bodies moving so that we don't go stiff. Because last summer, after my JO nationals, I didn't train till I got to Alabama. I took a break and then that break turned into 3 months. So we're not doing that anymore. So we're all just kind of going home training, doing a little bit of upgrades, just kind of playing gymnastics to stay moving and yeah, not lose that spark. I think we all remember what it felt like night one of nationals, and that's kind of just what's keeping us going for the
Yeah,
next couple months.
absolutely. I said I was done. I do have one more question. When we talk about, because you talk about not being dormant, and obviously we know the gymnastics portion of it. Is there like a weight room like regiment for gymnasts during the off season?
Um, so yes, but since we're not like in Alabama, it's a little harder. I mean, you can go to like a Planet Fitness or whatever and do the things we do, but they do give us like workouts to do that they advise you to follow. They can't require that, but they do advise you very heavily to follow the assignments given us.
Gotcha. Well, you better be following it because I like the way you said advise. It kind of sounded like you may or may not be doing it. After telling me you
No,
took
I
three
do
months of,
it. I just can't say that it's
I
required.
mean, you just told me last year you didn't do anything for 3 months. Disappointed a little, but it's all good. You clearly made it out just fine. So, but I look forward to seeing y'all next season. It's gonna make me sad. Like I said, I became a big Louisa fan. I could watch her do gymnastics all day. But it's the same thing with LSU, right? Like I got blessed that Haley Bryant decided she's gonna come back. LSU fans are super lucky, but a lot of those girls will be gone and it's like that with a lot of different teams. You watch a lot of amazing gymnasts, but then it opens the door, for the younger ones that are coming in, or the ones that are freshmen like you. Like, I mean, talking about LSU, like Connor McLean and Amari Drayton, just that's what's crazy, right? You were on the biggest stage, they were on the biggest stage. To see girls that so young being out there getting it done. Y'all got ice water in your veins, but look forward to seeing y'all next season. But with that, we're gonna play a game called This or That. Very simple. Give you two options. You choose one or the other. Just can't say neither. Can't say both. You down to play?
I'm ready. I'm
All
ready.
right. Normally, I'd say This or That is brought to you by the Athletic Collection, and I would show my posters on the wall. They're not here at the Marriott, so It's brought to you by the Athletic Collection. You can go get your Alabama posters of your different athletes. They're not on my wall though. But let's start simple first. Would you rather grill out, like grill out in the backyard, or would you rather go out to eat?
Um, Grill out for sure.
What's your favorite thing to have off the grill?
Burgers or steak. Depends on who's making it.
True, true. All right. Would you rather have a fast car or a luxury car?
Oh, a fast car. A fast car.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. All right. This next one's the funnest question we've had this season. Would you rather trip and fall in public or pass gas in public?
That's hard. I think trip and fall because I feel like I do that all the time. So trip and fall.
All right. So you said what's your favorite, but I'm still curious. Would you rather get a 10 on the vault in an event or a 10 on the floor?
Ah, uh, probably, probably floor. Uh, yeah, probably floor. I
All
don't know.
right. All right. Um, would you, all right, let's be clear right here. You're not gonna survive either, Jameson. That's the funnest part, is figuring out what you would you rather be stuck with a grizzly bear or a
Oh,
tiger?
mm, probably a grizzly bear.
Yeah, I mean, something about the tiger. I don't know. Cats play with their food. I don't want to be that food.
Yeah, I don't want to. No, probably a grizzly bear.
All right, last question, the money question. Would you, if I was to bring you $10 million cash, drop it off in the duffel bag, say, here you go, or tell you you can win a national championship next year, which one are you taking?
Oh, I'm taking the natty, bro. I'm taking the natty. Oh yeah, I'm taking the
Uh,
natty.
$10 million is a lot of money. Are you sure?
I can win the natty and make money because my team won the natty. So I can do both without doing both. So yeah, I'm taking the natty.
There you go. Well, speaking of making money, I saw that you had some merchandise out there. I want to give you a chance to plug and promote. Where can people get their Jameson merch?
Oh boy. I don't even know the answer to that question. I think it's
Oh,
no, it's fansmeetidols.com, I think.
I'm checking. I'm
I
checking right
think
now.
that's it,
Get
y'all.
that ready.
Get your J Money merch. I think that's where it is.
Yeah, and that is,
Um,
and use your
yeah.
code. It's Bands Me Titles, and it's your code merch 2024. But yeah, she's
Yup.
got the shirts. Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah, we got some good merch here. Outside of that, not just your NIL stuff, but is there anything you want to shout out? You want to plug or promote while we got a chance?
Um, shout out Lou. She's getting ready to go to the Olympics. Everyone tell her good luck and that you love her.
There you go. Yeah, that's the thing for gymnastics fans, right? It's not over. We got the gymnastics just right
Over.
around the corner in, the Olympics. Are you gonna I've heard some girls that have talked about, trying to find a way to make it. If there was a way for you to be able to get there and go, would you go?
To go watch Lou?
Hmm.
Oh yeah. I'd yeah, I'd be there in a heartbeat, actually. For
Yeah,
sure.
there we
For
go.
sure. I'd be in a heartbeat.
Someone out there listening, look, make sure these girls get out there to go support their girls and go. It's just Paris. I mean, it probably don't cost all that much.
Yeah, it's not a lot at all. So if you want to send me to go watch my abuela compete in the Olympics, I would be greatly appreciated and thank you.
Here you go. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and like you said, wish you nothing but the best of luck. And if there's anything we can do for you in the future, just reach on out.
Thank you for having me. I'm so
Absolutely.
happy we finally got to do this.
All right, everybody. That is Jamison Sears. If you like hearing her story or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, listen and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, ratings, comments, hugs, love, feedback, all that good stuff is welcome. We will see everyone back next week. We will have Daniel back. We have a whole week of shows. We're going to get back into college baseball. Got some college softball, so stay tuned. And remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.